Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a horror film called Anything for Jackson. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. One morning, married couple Henry and Audrey begin their day as usual in the kitchen. They're alerted by a sound outside and head out to meet their guest eagerly. Moments later, the old couple drags a pregnant woman inside. Despite her cries and kicks, the woman is forced into the house's lift with the strange couple as her captors. The pregnant woman, Shannon, wakes up to a young boy caressing her face. He greets her aloha, unfazed by the bound and gagged woman in his room. Sitting next to the bed is Audrey, who calls to her husband before nervously reading a prepared script to inform her of their plans. After apologizing for kidnapping her, she assures Shannon that they will not hurt her or her unborn child but insists that there's no hope for her to bargain or plead her way out of the situation. As part of their preparations, Henry walks out of the house and waits as Audrey removes the gag on Shannon's mouth. Shannon screams to the top of her lungs, but outside, Henry doesn't hear anything. Their soundproofing works. Audrey calmly explains that they intend to bring their grandson, Jackson, back. Since Shannon can see the boy in the room, Audrey hopes it's a good sign, meaning that Jackson knows they're about to save him. When Jackson turns his head away, a large wound on his head terrifies Shannon. Jackson died in an accident, and she sees his ghost. Confused and horrified, Shannon yells for help again after Audrey leaves, but her screams reach no one's ears. Audrey heads downstairs to inform Henry that Shannon can see Jackson's spirit. It gives the grandparents full of hope. But they need to keep up appearances and continue with their lives normally to avoid raising suspicions. Heading to his car, Henry finds their neighbor, Rory, who offers to shovel the snow on their front lawn. Henry refuses, excusing that his wife is sick and shouldn't be disturbed. But this is only to keep Rory away from their house, just in case. Back in the room, Shannon tries to pry herself off the cuffs when Audrey returns with some water and vitamins. Understandably, Shannon refuses to take them. Audrey checks Shannon's coat pocket, taking her phone and a bottle of her own medicine. Shannon attempts to call on her cell phone, but Audrey pries it off her hands. Seeing the nanny cam over the bed, she realizes that it was just a ruse to get Shannon's PIN code to unlock her phone. Using Shannon's phone, Audrey signs into a dating app and posts on her social media to avoid her friends and family from looking for her. At the clinic, Henry's secretary, Talia, insists that Shannon, who is his patient, rescheduled her appointment with him that day. On the spot, he lies that he met Shannon that morning, and she told him that she wouldn't make her appointment today. Weeks before, Audrey tests her theory on a resurrection spell with Henry as her witness. Finding a dead crow in the snow, she drops her blood on its body and reads from an ancient book. Upon finishing the spell, the crow wakes up and caws. Audrey reveals that she's been bringing dead animals back to life, giving them a way to get their grandson back. In the present day, Audrey and Henry meet up at the community center as part of their weekly routine. They meet a young man named Ian, whom Henry asked to find a book before. Audrey is displeased that Henry mentioned the book to Ian, whom she thinks may tattle on them if things go south. Audrey, Henry, and Ian join a group cloaked in black. The group's leader, Yolanda, regards Ian with distaste. Together, they light black candles and pray to the devil. Months before, when Shannon first learns of her pregnancy from Henry, the news frightens her. The child was conceived in a one-night fling with a stranger, and she isn't open to getting rid of it. But she isn't ready to raise a child either, fearing that her mother will call her a failure. Henry encourages her to take the next step in her life, but in reality, he set his eyes on her as their target. He takes her photo, which now is framed in the bedroom where Shannon is cuffed. Shannon sleeps quietly in the dim, candlelit room until she coughs up blood. At the foot of the bed, a sigil is drawn on the floor. At the center of the sigil are a heart and one of Jackson's toys beside it. Henry calms Shannon down as Audrey draws an upside-down cross on Shannon's forehead. The couple prays and drips their blood on the heart. The light flickers, and Shannon abruptly stops, arching her back as she struggles to breathe. Audrey prays, and the room becomes alive. The heart on the sigil begins to steam. At the corner of the room, they see Jackson's spirit pointing at something. But the couple doesn't notice this, as they're excited to see their grandson. One of the boards from the window flies open, and Jackson disappears. Henry goes to pick it up, then sees something behind Audrey. Audrey turns and finds a tall demonic creature standing behind her. She screams, backing away in fear. The creature hovers over Shannon, who continues to convulse in bed. Her framed picture now bears a mark on the forehead. The creatures disappear, and Shannon falls unconscious. Henry checks on the baby's heartbeat, unconcerned about the mother. Audrey is convinced that Jackson has successfully possessed the unborn child. On the following day, Henry wakes up alone in bed, dazed by last night's events. He finds his wife in the bathroom, brushing her teeth. His phone rings, and it's Audrey on the other line. Confused, he looks to the woman in the bathroom, who slowly faces him, teeth falling on the floor. Henry screams as the woman with a bloodied mouth stares at him expectantly. He covers his face when the woman nears him. Audrey finds him, shaking in fear, and the bloodied woman has disappeared. That evening, Henry meets Detective Bellows in his clinic, who's investigating Shannon's disappearance. Henry tells the detective that Shannon canceled her appointment on the day she went missing, and Talia adds that Henry claimed to have talked to Shannon that day. Without time to think much further, Henry tells Detective Bellows that Shannon passed by his house that day. Henry calls Audrey to tell her what happened. Audrey panics as the notion of Shannon walking by their house that day was not part of their plan. Audrey drops the call when someone knocks on the door. Expecting that it's the detective, she finds a girl in a ghost costume instead, asking, "Trick or treat?" Audrey is offended and shuts the door, only for someone to knock on the back door. Slowly, she heads to open it and finds the same child. After closing the door, the girl appears in the bathroom, and Audrey rushes upstairs to call for help. She watches the girl run around the house while waiting for Henry to answer his phone. Henry finally picks up, and Audrey tells him that she's trying to get her. In an ominous tone, Henry suggests that Audrey offers her soul. He repeats trick or treat on the phone, clearly not her real husband. Audrey calls the lift, only to find a tall figure wearing a ghost costume come out and chase her. Audrey collapses on the steps, frightened as the figure approaches. But instead, the costume falls on her. She clutches to the fabric, weeping in fear. Later that evening, Audrey explains to Shannon that her daughter came by to see her. Her daughter used to dress up as a ghost for Halloween every year, despite Audrey offering other costumes. When asked where her daughter is now, Audrey changes the topic and leaves to bake cookies for Jackson. While alone, Shannon rocks the bed back and forth until the teddy bear with the nanny cam drops from the shelf above. She tries to pry her hand off the cuff but stops when she hears the floor creak. Seeing no one, she uses her teeth to undo the belt binding the cuff to the bed. She tries the other side and yelps when a man with a plastic bag over his head appears. The man crawls to the other side of the room, then scrambles back towards her. Shannon screams for help, but Audrey cannot open the door. The man bites Shannon's pregnant stomach just as Audrey finally opens the door. Seeing her, the man marches towards Audrey. When Henry finds them, the man disappears. After stitching up Shannon's wound, Henry joins his wife in bed. Audrey, who's been confident up until this point, is now worried that they made a mistake. Weeks ago, Henry met Shannon in front of his house as she power walks as part of her exercise. Despite her fears upon learning of the pregnancy, Shannon was finally excited to raise the child. At present, the couple finds crows gathering around their house, wondering if it's because of their spell. Henry hurries back inside upon seeing Rory's van pulling up their driveway. Audrey heads to Shannon to sedate her while Henry deals with a persistent neighbor. Taking Rory outside, Henry learns that Rory's life is falling apart, which is why he insists on clearing their driveway to keep himself busy. Feeling guilty about unloading on the doctor, Rory offers to do it for free. While the couple argues inside, Rory plows the snow outside. With everything they planned falling apart, Audrey doubts that Jackson succeeded in possessing the baby. Henry encourages her, promising her that once they have Jackson back, he'll burn down the house along with the ghosts in it. Rory calls to the couple, smiling as he tells them that they did it right and that Jackson is inside. Possessed, Rory drives his head into the snowplow, spraying blood on the driveway. That evening, Audrey tends to Shannon despite the woman's refusal. Seeing the wounds around her wrist, Audrey removes the cuffs, much to Shannon's surprise. Audrey covers the cuffs in knitted fabric to make them more comfortable before placing them back on. Shannon asks her if they'll kill her once they have the baby back. Audrey promises that they will not hurt her. As Audrey talks about her daughter again, the door opens and a man peeks inside, unnoticed by the two women. When Shannon asks if they tried to bring their daughter back, Audrey answers that she cannot. Audrey's daughter was also in the accident that killed Jackson. She survived but was left paralyzed. The couple tried their best to help their daughter, but it was beyond their control. Their daughter ended her life, unable to cope with the death of her son. Looking to the positive side, Audrey believes that her daughter would be happy that at least they're bringing Jackson back. The next day, Henry buries Rory's body in the snow, struggling due to his weakened condition. Detective Bellows calls him, insisting on meeting in his house to discuss Shannon's disappearance. Back to a corner, Henry screams into the wilderness in frustration. Back at the house, Shannon offers to be Jackson's mother once he's born. Audrey thinks it's a trick, but Shannon insists that she understands how a mother would do anything for their child. She points out that they need help caring for the child, as Audrey and Henry are old. Audrey considers this, but her thoughts are interrupted by a knock on the front door. She heads out of the room, confused that the bedroom door is ajar, before locking Shannon inside. The door opens again after she leaves. Outside, Henry hurries back into the house and sees that the detective's car is already parked inside. He rushes to the bedroom, finding Bellows already there, with Audrey cuffed and on the floor. While Bellows has Henry at gunpoint, Shannon begs for her to free her. The detective tries to calm her down before pointing the gun under her chin and pulling the trigger. Shannon cries, watching her hope perish. With the detective gone, Henry frees his wife and asks if Bellows called for backup. Assuring him that she didn't, they drag the woman's body out of the room. After getting rid of the body, Henry becomes agitated at the turn of events. Audrey raises her conversation with Shannon, but someone knocks on the door. It's Ian who asks if they have the book. The couple shows Ian the spell book, recounting how Henry got it from a man in Jerusalem who was eager to give it to him at the cost of their entire retirement fund. Ian tries to translate it, hoping to confirm if the spell they did is correct. Ian reads the page where they got the spell, asking them the specific details of their summoning. He tells them that when they summon the demon to bring their grandson back, they also open the door allowing all souls from purgatory to enter and find a host. They introduce Ian to Shannon, the host that they used for the summoning. Ian looks around the bedroom, searching every corner for signs. He reveals that they did the right spell, but it's only half the ceremony, and they need to finish it by trading a life. Ian offers to help but in exchange for the book and $10,000. In the meantime, he advises them to use salt to prevent the ghosts from approaching them. That evening, Henry stays in the bedroom to guard Shannon, having laid down a salt line before the door as a precaution. Shannon asks how many lives are needed to sacrifice to bring their son back. But Henry doesn't falter, having already sold his soul. Henry confesses that Audrey was driving the day of the accident and hadn't recovered from it. Loving his wife deeply, he is willing to go down in flames with her if he cannot help her recover. Bella's ghost approaches Henry and pulls the trigger on herself again, shocking him and waking up Audrey. Shannon is unfazed, hoping that the couple will be haunted for the rest of their lives. Ian prepares for the ritual at his mother's basement but gets angered when his mother calls him. Tired of her yelling, Ian packs up. On the next day, Ian returns to the Walsh's house, but nobody answers the door. He heads up the bedroom with Bella's ghost following him behind. The spirit shoots herself again, but the couple isn't surprised anymore, as the ghost has been repeating this all night. Ian adds blood to the salt line they laid down, saying that it would stop the ghosts. This is proven effective, as Bella's walks by again, but she doesn't enter the room for the first time and instead walks away. Ian shows Audrey the book's page to copy the sigil and takes Henry outside to set up the house. Ian warns Henry not to hesitate when it's time to end Shannon, warning him not to doubt the demon. In the bedroom, Audrey draws the sigil in blood and lies to Shannon that they intend to keep her as the baby's mother. Shannon, however, is not convinced. She asks Audrey for some food, and as soon as she's gone, Shannon gnaws herself free. She frees one hand and spills water on herself before breaking the glass. When Audrey comes back, Shannon tells her that her water broke, causing the woman to panic. Outside, Ian rants about the disrespect he gets in their church, which Henry agrees to appease him. Henry receives a message from Yolanda just before they're called back to the bedroom by Audrey. Back in the bedroom, Shannon pretends to be in labor, making everyone on edge. Ian accidentally breaks the salt line before starting the spell. Henry receives a message from Yolanda again, but given the events, he ignores her. Ian continues the spell, causing the floor to creak. Henry finally answers Yolanda's call, who's hysterically telling him that Ian killed his mother last night and drew symbols on the wall of his house. With this information, Henry grows suspicious of Ian. He quietly warns Audrey while Ian carves on his feet. With his blood, Ian leaves a trail of upside-down crosses before continuing the spell. Shannon slips out of her broken cuffs with everyone distracted and takes the shard of glass she hid under the pillow. Shannon grabs Audrey and holds the glass to her neck, ordering Henry to free her. Audrey and Ian tell him not to free Shannon, but seeing his wife in danger, Henry starts undoing Shannon's bindings. Angered, Ian takes the keys from Henry's hands and tosses them away. Shannon grabs the keys, but Ian pries them off her hands. Knowing that things aren't going according to plan, Audrey begs Ian to help them return their grandson, but he stabs her in the stomach, using her as the sacrifice instead of Shannon. Henry cradles Audrey in his arms as she passes out from blood loss. Ian sprinkles them with his blood, revealing that his true intention is to give the demon a home. With his wife in his arms, Henry whispers to her, unable to accept her fate. Audrey mumbles, trying to hold on to life while Shannon continues to free herself from the bed. Finally, Audrey succumbs to her wound, and Henry whispers, "I love you" to her. The sigil on the floor burns, and Ian is excited to meet the demon. But Shannon, having freed both hands from the bed, stabs him on the leg, distracting him. A ghost with no eyes grabs Ian and kisses him before taking him away. Shannon stretches her arms out desperately to reach for the keys to free her other leg. The ghost with a bag on his face comes out from under the bed again, hovering over the pregnant woman. She hears her chains clatter on the floor, finally free from the bed after Henry helps her. Upon losing his wife, Henry chooses to free Shannon and finish the nightmare he started. Shannon tries to get him to run with her, but Henry vomits blood and backs away. Terrified, Shannon leaves the room as a creature comes out of Henry's body. Shaking in fear, Shannon heads down the stairs, chased by the ghost that took Ian away. In the bathroom, she sees the child with the Halloween costume and the woman with falling teeth. She tries to head out from the back door but is blocked by the tall ghost. Upstairs, the room is soaked in blood. The old couple lies on the floor while a horned, pregnant woman walks around. In the kitchen, Shannon finds Bella's ghost and car keys on the breakfast table. She reaches out to grab it, but the detective's ghost wakes up, telling her that she can help before shooting herself again. Making her way outside, Shannon sees Rory's body using the snowplow. She ignores him and heads for the car. Looking back to the house, she spots Jackson's ghost in the bedroom window. Finally free, Shannon drives down the road, heaving. After a few minutes of driving, her eyes widen, and she stops the car. Down the road, she sees the horned, pregnant woman blocking her way. The creature slowly turns away as if letting her leave. But Shannon feels something in her belly. Looking down on her pregnant body, she wonders about the child she's carrying. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.